Hello everyone. I thought I scooted the camera to this way, but I guess I didn't. Everything's opposite online. Let me turn this heater off. It's funny, I get so cold and then I turn the heater on and it heats up all the metal, all my metal jewelry. Like it turns into like devices of torture. Anyway, how are y'all? Of course I have my rum. God, my shoulders are so burnt. I've been going on walks each day, so yeah, I've been getting some sun, as you can probably tell. Almost like being a Florida girl again. Well, I hope you all are doing well. And YouTube link, David Davis, I was having that problem too. Is it not on YouTube? Did I not hit posting it on YouTube? That might be the case. Let me go look on YouTube myself, and if I didn't, I'll upload it later. But I was trying to find it before and couldn't find it either. I think in my streaming software, I didn't put it on YouTube. Hold on one second. Crap, I'm signed into a different YouTube account. Switch account. Well, never mind. I'll check it after the show. It might not be on YouTube, and that would be on me. When I was setting this up, I've got like 1 million channels added to excuse me, to restream, and I need to clean it out. So yeah, I must not have hit it being on YouTube. I'll upload it once this stream is done, because it does record to my computer. But I guess I can't beg for super chats. Bastards. I screwed up. Oh well. I should have known something was wrong. I'm like, why isn't it showing up on YouTube? And then I got distracted with something else. You want to hear what a big loser I am? I just filed my taxes today because I hate it so much. And the government owes me money. So it wasn't like I owe money, but I'm just like, I start getting all twitchy when I got to screw around with the government. So I just filed my taxes today. And the reason I did is we got something in Colorado called TABOR, which is the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. And it's this thing where if they raise more taxes than a certain budget calculation, the taxpayers actually get a refund from the state as well. And we didn't qualify for our TABOR refund unless you filed your taxes by the end of June. So I'm like, crap, I guess I gotta file these things. It's not that I was getting a big refund or anything, but I didn't owe money. I hope it gets direct deposited before the LNC meeting, because right now I don't have enough money for that trip. I bought my airplane tickets, but I don't got hotel or food or anything, so I'll be homeless out in front of the hotel. I'm sharing actually with Kathy, so it shouldn't be so bad, but still. Oh, okay. What were we going to cover today? Patreon.com/Pink Flame of Liberty, particularly since I can't grift for super chats. Oh well. Oh well. I will not have a rental car. That's like saying let 'em eat cake. I couldn't afford a rental car. Oh my God. Okay. Let's pull up the LP news. We're busting again through this May-June LP news so that we can catch up. And boy, Friday night, by the way, LNC member hangout. I'm going to be hosting that room. It's my rotation. And at some point, though, I want to do an LNC recap. I wasn't going to do one on Friday because I was like, not very much has happened. And whenever I say that, it's like famous last words. Not very much has happened on the LNC list. But boy, there's some bitteristas on social media that, my God, I wouldn't want your lives. Truly miserable people. Woof, 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 woof. All right, let's go to happier stuff, which is old LP news. Okay, and on Timcast today, he said touch grass, so that made me laugh. right here. New York party seeks 50,000. That's what we're going over today. Starting next year, voters in New York State will have the opportunity to register as Libertarians, and the Libertarian Party line will appear permanently on the ballot in future elections if the Free Libertarian Party succeeds in its goal of getting 50,000 votes for governor in this November's election. As you can see, the ballot access struggles with New York have existed since day one. Become a patron. Keep me in rum. Yo ho ho. A pirate's life for me. I need an eye patch. Me and my rum. If this goal is achieved, the Libertarian Party will be, I need to, right there, now I'm centered, will be the third national party to achieve permanent ballot access in New York. The liberal and conservative parties, which already have permanent ballot access, are not national parties. And yes, Lily Rose for President says a lot of history videos lately. That is indeed true. And it's true because I didn't do a lot for the months when I was in the midst of my campaign. And we try to keep month for month with these LP News. And this is May, June. So I got to finish this issue before the end of June. So there'll be another history vid tomorrow and then we'll be caught up. Okay, but this is actually what I enjoy doing more than most everything else. But next week, let me let you know what's coming up. So Friday, we'll be doing an LNC recap. Next week, I've got DL Cummings coming on the show on Thursday. And sometime next week, I'm going to be addressing the abortion issue. I need to update. I did a really long video on it probably 2 or 3 years ago. But since everything that's happened between deleting the abortion plank in the National Party and the overturning of Roe versus Wade, I need to update, I think. Okay, let's continue with history. With this goal in mind, the FLP endorsed the largest slate of candidates in its 3-year history, giving its backing to a total of 11 aspirants at the 1974 FLP convention held March 29th through 31st. Optimistic about the probability of success, the New York Libertarians point out that 50,000 votes is less than 1% of the usual vote for governor and lieutenant governor, a realistic figure to attend in view of Fran Youngsting's success in her New York City, I never can pronounce this, mayoralty campaign. Editor's note, Fran received almost 9,000 votes, or better than 0.5%. Extensive media coverage and advertising, including heavy TV spot emphasis, is planned for the months ahead. Jerome Tusil, the noted libertarian author, whose works include several successful books, including It All Begins with Ayn Rand, I think that's the name of it, and whose articles have been published in the New York Times and elsewhere, received the FLP's endorsement for governor. His campaign carries special importance since the party's goal of achieving a permanent line on the ballot hinges on Tusil's receiving at least 50,000 votes. For this reason, and because of Tusil's status, where I lost my spot, God, I hate when I do that, as a nationally known author, it is expected that local and even national news media will be following this race closely. Tusil has already received publicity from several radio stations, the New York Times, and the nationally distributed Gannett news chain. For U.S. Senate, the FLP endorsed Percy L. Greaves, close associate and disciple of the late Ludwig von Mises. And yes, I saw somebody ask, I did redo my nails today with yellow, Libertarian yellow. Author of the best-selling book, Understanding the Dollar Crisis, as well as many other well-known books, Greaves recently turned down the endorsement of the Courage Party. Has anyone ever heard of the Courage Party? It says it's a New York affiliate of the American Party. Now, I know the ballot was so weird in New York at that time, where multiple parties had to use a different name. That's why the Libertarian Party in New York at that time was called the Free Libertarian Party. Okay, continuing. Greaves recently turned down the endorsement of the Courage Party, New York affiliate of the American Party, because of certain unlibertarian planks in their platform. Previously, he had resigned from the executive committee of the New York Conservative Party when they endorsed Richard Nixon for president. Other candidates endorsed by the FLP were Louis Cicilla for lieutenant government. He ran for Manhattan Borough President last year and was one of the party's strongest vote getters. Leland Schubert for Attorney General. Louise says Tuccelli. Okay, I always say Tucile. I'm terrible with names. Not as bad as John Wilford. And I'm saying that in love because I find it very endearing. But oh my goodness, he could mangle a name like a pro. So can I. I'm second place though. Leland Schubert for Attorney General. He is currently Secretary of the FLP. For Comptroller, the FLP endorsed Dr. Robert Flanzer, a Brooklyn dentist who formerly served as campaign captain in the Strategic Air Command. All right, and we had said we were going to cover that today, and also what else did we want to cover today? Other news of LP candidates and the political perspective. Though Wayne is waiting for me because we're celebrating that I finally filed my taxes today because he's been bugging me forever. Yo ho ho and a bottle of rum. All right, let's find this page. We're going to next. Right there. Other news of LP candidates. Oh, from all this hiking and walking I'm doing, I'm like so sore. All right, I'll be really happy when we're caught up with history. I like doing history, but this ramming through this last issue of LP News has been quite trying. LP now has 32 candidates in the field. As of May 6th, there were 32 LP candidates running for public office in 9 states around the country. The final total is expected to approach 50. Of the 32 so far running, I think we went over this. We did this. We did the other news of LP candidates. Sorry, when it says reading it, I'm like, this sounds familiar. So we're going to go right to the editorial column, which is political perspective. Okay, let's find that page. Right there. Part 16, Criminal Code Reform or Program for Repression. Okay, I really thought this would be going on about Nixon because remember, during this whole period of time, we're leading up to Nixon's resignation in August of '74. So this was a very politically volatile time. And Eric Scott Royce wrote this, not David Nolan, so that can explain it. David liked to focus on the presidency a lot. And looks like Eric Scott Royce likes to focus on legislation. Let's see. Unnoticed by almost everyone, the Nixon administration has been promoting legislation in the Senate Judiciary Committee, which would completely redraft the U.S. Criminal Code. If the Nixon bill or its major alternative should pass without substantial amendment, Americans could suffer a disastrous new erosion of their civil liberties. On March 27, 1973, the senior Republican on the committee, Roman Hrushka, introduced S. 1400, the Criminal Code Reform Act. This bill, over 330 pages long, was drafted by the Nixon administration. Representative Ed Hutchinson has introduced it in the House as H.R. 6046, and while the bill is lying dormant in the House Judiciary Committee's Subcommittee on Criminal Justice, the Senate has been holding periodic hearings on S. 1400 and on S. 1, introduced earlier by Senator McClellan and nearly as bad. Now the Senate hearings are about to close, with committee debate on what form to report the bill as the next step. This article will concentrate on the defects of the Nixon bill, which contains provisions that not even the U.S. Congress, jaded by years of regulating everyone and everything, is likely to swallow. I am going to acknowledge in chat, I do see a question from the Twitch stream. These aren't really general shows. They're very topic specific. Maybe I will do some general shows, but not getting into gun control today. Sticking with the LP news, because this is a historical show, not general libertarian debate or commentary, though that would be a good idea to do for a different show. But I just wanted to acknowledge that I did see your question. I didn't want to be rude, so I thank you so much for understanding. So it says, this article will concentrate on the defects of the Nixon bill, which contains provision that not even the U.S. Congress, jaded by years of regulating everyone and everything, is likely to swallow. For instance, we don't need to read the section numbers, would allow federal officials to be excused from conviction of illegal acts on the basis that they were acting under presumption of legality because of administrative grant of permission. Oof. Is this like qualified immunity, which I thought had been around forever, but this is something new here in 74? A Congress concentrating on the Watergate mess is unlikely to let that go by. But many other sections will pass unless enough people protest loudly and in time. I'd be really curious on this. Several sections of the bill are now gaining notoriety as Nixon's Official Secrets Act. Using patriotism as a cover. Isn't patriotism always used as a cover? That, and think of the children. The bill redefines espionage to include communicating classified information to unauthorized persons with the knowledge that it may be used by a foreign power or against the U.S. interests. In peacetime, this would mean that individuals such as Daniel Ellsberg would become subject to 30 years imprisonment and a $100,000 fine. I don't know who Daniel Ellsberg is, but this is giving me Edward Snowden vibes. And then the next section, disclosing national defense information, prohibits communicating information relative to the national defense to unauthorized persons. A substantial portion of the press and honest public officials like Ernest Fitzgerald would be gagged or end up in jail if this section is adopted. Wicked Ender says, wasn't Ellsberg the Russian spy? I don't know. I've never heard of him. I want to look that up. I'm curious who he is, because I'm seriously getting Snowden vibes just from what had been said there. But let's look up. I'm going to Wikipedia just to get an overview as to who Daniel Ellsberg was. It says he's an American political activist and former U.S. God, my eyes are so bad. U.S. military analyst. And, David Davis says he's from the Pentagon Papers. Got it. I'd suggest everyone take a look at this Wikipedia article. The name did not ring a bell to me, but maybe we'll do a show on that. That seems pretty interesting. But for right now, I go off on these rabbit trails. Okay. The bill makes no distinction as to whether documents are classified only to cover up blunders or criminality. And I see JJ also said Ellsberg leaked the Pentagon Papers. So I'm right to be getting serious Ed Snowden vibes. And then mentions other section numbers, further tighten up security procedures by making those who leak copies of material, such as the Pentagon Papers. See, I really don't read ahead. You guys get my contemporaneous reaction to all this. Subject to prosecution for theft of government property. Oh, you want to laugh? I want to tell you a joke. So Wayne and I were out hiking, which is, again, why I have the sunburn. And I'm not saying that I collect rocks, but I'm also not saying I collect rocks. So we were on the trail, and I saw a cool rock, and I was like, oh, that's a great rock. And Wayne goes, you can't pick up the rock. It's theft of government property. And I said, how can government property steal government property? Bada bing. Okay, and Wicked Ender says, and those of you on Facebook can't see, it's a Twitch comment. that he was thinking of Rosenberg as the Russian spy guy. Ooh, I'm a poet and didn't know it. Okay, it says, these sections would establish an unprecedented power to censor the press. They would cripple its ability to gather and publish evidence of criminality and mismanagement, which flourishes now more than ever in the bureaucracy. These provisions are terrible enough, but others are as bad or worse in their abridgment of civil liberties. Chapter 206 authorizes government wiretapping for a wide variety of offenses. We know how much Nixon loved wiretapping. Another section authorizes emergency wiretap authority for up to 48 hours before officials must seek a court order. The bill also forces landlords and phone company employees to provide all information, facilities, and technical assistance necessary for installation, meaning installation of a wiretap. The bill ignores the case against victimless crime laws. Obscenity comes under fire, which prohibits producing, transporting, or disseminating material which depicts or describes sexual intercourse. Hold on.
That's what she said.
Objection, speculative.
Yes. Another section continues government prohibitions on prostitution. Other sections ban possession of trafficking in drugs. Possession of small amounts under 4 ounces of marijuana becomes punishable by up to a year in jail and a $10,000 fine. There are numerous other sections of this bill which can easily be construed to infringe individual rights. These include Section 1103, which punishes membership in an organization which urges overthrow of the government. Define overthrow. If you mean peaceable assertion of self-ownership and the next evolution of human political thought, I'm going to keep my mouth shut. All right. Where were we? Another section prohibits impairing military effectiveness by false statements. Another, inciting or aiding mutiny. What are we, on the Billy O.T.? Oh, there once was a ship who took to sea, and the name of the ship was the Billy O.T. Okay, insubordination or desertion. Demonstrating to influence a judicial proceeding. My God, this sounds like the Soviet Union. Dealing with riots, firearms violations, and gambling. With Watergate coming up and the legislative machinery already clogged, a criminal code reform bill is not likely to reach the floor of either house for some time. However, Libertarians would do well to start informing themselves about the dangers inherent in these bills. Copies for study can be obtained from your senators or representative. There has been relatively little public analysis of these bills. Libertarians ought to try to get the jump on the left by planning now for a fight against such legislation. Why would it say get the jump on the left? It doesn't seem like any of this stuff. Oh, I think I misread that. I originally read that as the left being in favor of these laws, but I can't picture that. Like, this is really proto-neocon stuff right here. A campaign against victimless crime laws and repressive legislation, such as wiretapping and no-knock authorizations, will be particularly timely as congressional consideration approaches, and then urges people to write letters to the editors, as I like to say, or your legislatures. Wow. Government never ceases to be jack-booted brown shirts, do they? Well, all right, everyone. We got through what we wanted to today in a half an hour. I usually don't get through an intro in a half an hour. So tomorrow will be the last of the May-June LP News. We'll be caught up. But I got to get this show on YouTube. I'll do that later. I don't know what setting I screwed up. This gives me motivation to fix my restream settings. But Wayne and I are having a little bit of a date night. So I was kind of I was motivated to do a quick show. But I'll show you what we're going to cover tomorrow. Bits and pieces. That's all we have left for tomorrow. And that's always interesting because it's a bunch of different stuff. And yeah, Wicked Ender says, it does seem like the government gets overthrown every 4 years. Well, it gets radically changed. It doesn't get overthrown. At least not to my anarchist sensibilities, my pacifist anarchist sensibilities. Always have to say that. I had somebody who was like trying to goad me on Twitter, like said that the word quote unquote war only means like violent revolution. No, it doesn't. There's a war on obesity, right? In this country. That's what they say. I don't see us going around killing obese people. No, the word war can be metaphysical. I'm not a Muslim, but I would use the example of the way the word jihad has lots of permutations of meaning. It can mean a personal struggle and it can mean violence. But words are not so tightly wrapped in a bow. That's the beauty of language. Context, there's permutations of meanings, dare I say, penumbras. So anyway, I don't even know why I was thinking of that Twitter comment the other day. Yeah, no, Wicked Ender sure doesn't get any smaller. That's true.
That's what she said.
All right, everyone. That's going to be it for this evening. I will see you tomorrow. Yeah, we got an LNC meeting this weekend. And, oh, Dave Davis. Wow, I'm going to put this up on the screen. This is a good ending note. Politics is the continuation of war by other means. Woo, that's good. All right, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow. Love you. Bye-bye.
Given, that's how we live it. Don't be mad at the system, it's simply how we've existed. I hear a lot of people talking like they politicians and choose to be an accountant because it's safe in a business, not because they want to